A new front-page report in the New York Times finds that more companies are monitoring and recording employees to measure their productivity. Journalist Jodi Kantor investigates the rise of so-called productivity scores. These can be measured with trackers that log keyboard activity and screenshot employees' faces and computer screens. And workers can lose points if they're deemed inactive. That can mean you stepped away to get a coffee. It can mean you're going to mentor a coworker. You're not at your computer. For some, Kantor found that low scores can mean less pay or even getting fired, losing their jobs. Employees in a wide range of industries, we're talking architecture to healthcare, describe this as being tracked as demoralizing, humiliating, and toxic. And Jodi Kantor joins us now. Jodi, as I said in the green room, I think this is one of those articles that's going to be pulled for decades and decades to look at where we're going as a country and where it began. We heard some employees complain. I can understand those complaints. Let's talk about the employer side, though. What's the case for doing this?
You know, one of the most interesting parts of this reporting was talking to the people who really believe in these systems. They say, first of all, that it's inevitable, that the workplace has become a place of measurement. Don't fool yourself. They say that it's more transparent, that the person who's a great contributor but maybe kind of quiet can be recognized by these systems. And they say, and they gave me examples, people really do cheat. There are derelict workers who even, for example, are taking 2 remote jobs at once and not really doing either of them. And they also say that they can manage better when they really see what people are doing when in detail. But then on the other hand, we found an avalanche of really disturbing stories of people who felt that they couldn't really do their jobs well with these systems, or that the measurements were just wrong. And I want to be clear, this is something that was more prevalent in low-income jobs for a long time. Now we're seeing it with people with college degrees, graduate degrees, even hospice chaplains who had to earn productivity points as they tended to the dying.
So depending on what they do, they get points for the care they administer? I did not know that.
There's a whole chart, you know, 0.25 points for a condolence call, 1 point for a visit to the dying.
But like Tony mentioned, idle time could mean anything, though. And you can also be productive during that idle time.
Just because your face isn't there or you don't see my strokes doesn't mean I'm not working.
This is only measuring digital activity. So we found some very frustrated social workers working for a big Fortune 500 company. This is very mainstream. And they were marked as being idle, which is a judgmental word. That's like derelict.
Right.
While they were actually seeing patients in drug treatment facilities. But it's just that their laptops weren't out and they weren't typing at the time.
Do you ever hear of employees that say, you know, I actually think this is a good idea?
We do. We found some that craved more tracking.
Why?
Well, for example, I talked to a woman who said, I am doing more on my team than my male coworker, who I believe is going to the beach based on his Instagram posts. And I wish there was a system that recognized that I'm the real contributor.
I bet there wasn't many of those, though, right?
Some. But the majority of people we talk to are incredibly frustrated with this because people feel that agency and decision-making has been taken from them, and that this is a very intimate form of control in which...
Feels like an invasion almost.
Right, and that, I mean, we talk to tons of workers who are having problems with bathroom breaks. That used to be a warehouse worker problem.
Does a company have to tell you that they're monitoring you?
Depending on which state you live in.
Really?
Yeah.
What about New York State if you work for a big media company? I mean, one of the big worries, I think, is that it distorts the job itself. I was struck by the Kroger workers who were doing grocery checkout, and they got to be fast. Well, sometimes they can't be fast because they've got an elderly patron, and the customer service involves chit-chatting and going at their pace.
Or they're just explaining that the coupons don't apply to this purchase.
Yeah, exactly. Or with those chaplains.
If you're shopping, say, for shoes, can the employees tell you're looking at shoes?
Depending on the program.
just asking for a friend.
So part of why this was complicated to report on is that it's not one piece of software, right?
Okay.
It's not Facebook, or Twitter, which we can scrutinize as one program. This is like a million different kinds of software that do this. And some of them, Gayle, yes, do screenshot. Some screenshot every 10 minutes, like at a random time.
Wow.
So even if you were working for 9 minutes and 55 seconds, if that screenshot shows you looking for those shoes or just getting interrupted by a text from your kid or something, you may not get paid for that 10-minute
Feels
period.
inevitable, which is why I think this is such an historic piece.
Thank
Thank you so much,
Jodi
Jodi
Kantor
Thank
on the
you.
case again.
We'll be right back.